Hello and welcome to Wild Logic. We're going to start off with a passage from the Tao Te Ching by Stephen Mitchell. This pocket edition, I love it. I have several copies for several pockets. And I also have an Tao Te Ching app, and it lets me pick a random chapter, and it came up with 79. Movement and change, the number 79. Failure is an opportunity. If you blame someone else, there is no end to the blame. Therefore, the master fulfills her own obligations and corrects her own mistakes. She does what she needs to do and demands nothing of others. And on the bottom of the deck, I found the Six of Cups, which is about nostalgia and the past. And that card is asking to be. So this is in the position of self. So when we're looking back at the past, we're going to look at it with an air of justice, clearness, and that's going to bring us positive karma. This is going to help us to activate a totally new way of being in the physical world. Let's speaking of alignment, let's bring this into a little bit better alignment. Trying to come up with a better system here. Yes, so the magician, it's by being in this master position where you blame no one else, you take accountability, and you walk in the world with that sensibility of failure being an opportunity and seeing your own part, because if you blame someone else, there is no end to blame. Fulfill your own obligations and correct mistakes. She does what she needs to do and demands nothing of others. So if you are running into failure, this is an opportunity for you to step into this role of the magician and learn to transmute it. This is bringing balance into the mind and emotions. And this is going to change the story of conflict that you embody. It is rising above and taking into account what has transpired and no longer getting into the fray. Seeing that you are able to rise above and just kind of float over the situation. And with that is coming in a powerful energy of emotional fulfillment, because you take everything with a self-directed, balanced approach. You have no enemies. You have no failures. You only have opportunities for growth. Yeah, that word failure is so interesting to me. It's quite popular. And I'm an educator, and I know a lot of students that I teach will, very quickly decide that they are not good at something for a variety of reasons. And it's like, wow, you barely even scratched the surface. There was this sense that, here we go, this need for external validation. And that can even just be with our own process. We need to see things correct on the surface, but things not being perfect is actually how we innovate. So failure is a form of innovation. It gives you a new way of moving in the world, and we actually desperately need people that know how to move differently and rise above. So everything that you come across, if you take that stance of the magician, I will transmute this. I'm going to take responsibility for who I am, and I'm going to change the world by changing myself. And that's going to bring more justice and fulfillment for everybody. letting that external validation be something else. This like simplicity that you exist, you are here, the world is reacting and responding to you. That means that you are an infinite soul that deserves to be here. You're part of the beautiful framework of life itself. And that respect for others and respect for the self, by taking that path of self-correcting. And this doesn't mean that you're going to take responsibility for other people. If there are certain things that are not for you, you rise above and move beyond. You don't get into the fray. You don't excuse bad behavior, but you recognize different types of behavior for what they are, and you act accordingly. And this is going to be your new mission statement for your soul. And so through these limitations, through these like theoretical failures that are actually opportunities, you're going to be shifting your way into a new potential. And boom, you got it. You are the muse. You are the empress. You understand the nature of nature. You can flow with it. You do not have to force. And I think understanding receptivity and action properly brings you into balance. And the receptivity of the empress, the understanding of nature, that state of openness is the potential that's needed here. The control aspect of the yang is over dominant. The receptivity of yin is what needs to come in, and that is what you need to champion. And it's going to be in getting better at not needing perfection is going to show your true self, because who you are has been hiding when you don't fully see the opportunity in things that are failures, because you're hiding because of your fear of failure. Just calling failures that makes it a problem, and it makes you actually lean away from the opportunities that are in front of you. So you're going to start to study how this change takes place. You're going to research through living, through doing. And as your emotional state becomes more balanced within, you'll see how that is reflected without. You will get that external validation, but it's going to come in a form that you don't expect. And it's going to be a peacefulness and choice. Once you start to know that failure is not an issue, you will start to choose the things you truly most desire to do. And you're going to start to be structuring a whole new way of living. And that way of living is going to actually be validation to others that are wanting to learn from each other. We learn so much just by passively observing one another. And so these new projects, you are going to be opening people's eyes and giving them a new way of seeing. You're going to take this research and kind of create this vessel of light, which is very powerful. So I see great things for you all in this. And so here we have the hyena, which is this lack of sobriety and sarcasm, which I think this is what comes out when we are masked, when we are afraid for things to not go as we think they should go. And so these animal cards are going to help us in this journey of self, of opening. We also have the bear, which is spiritual awakening. Coming out of a slumber. And it's because you're willing to face your fears. And then we have the rabbit, which has to do with anxiety. So all of these animals are here to support this kind of lag within you that has been keeping you stuck because you want to appear in a certain way. It's about appearances and a fear of people mistaking you, because as you try new things, as you are vulnerable, you might look a little off. Like, it's even with this YouTube channel. Like, this is new. There's a lot of aspects of this that make me vulnerable. I'm exposing myself, and there's so much that I just don't know. And it's filled with opportunity. So the hyena really represents humor, wit, and sarcasm. The hyena personality is a jokester and a crowd pleaser, but below the surface there are unfulfilled dreams yet to be realized. When the hyena card appears, it's time to reflect on your reliance on sarcasm and humor to express your truth. So this is a way of masking things that don't go well in that humor. Are you using jokes to hide old resentments in relationships or to mask things that you feel uncomfortable discussing? What would happen if you took your goals seriously and took that risk? When in balance, charming, witty, fun to be around. When out of balance, scrappy, petty, suspicious. To bring into balance, sobriety. So this could even be there's forms of all sorts of addictions, including workaholism, where maybe you continue to just grind on things in too many directions that aren't really for you because you're afraid of doing the thing that you're most passionate about, because what if it doesn't go the way you planned, right? But the truth is there's always a new opening, a new adventure, a new door, and it doesn't have to be resolved immediately. In fact, that's part of the fun of it, is trying something new and it not being perfect, and then you get to do more and dig deeper, right? A lot of the people that we look up to have failure built into their story, if you want to call it that, but really another way to look at it is it's just continuous growth and learning that is part of the journey and always is part of the journey for anyone that's actually authentically engaged in life. Waking from spiritual slumber, beginning anew. That is the bear. After a long winter, the bear arises from deep slumber. At first, the movement and effort is difficult, but the bear knows it's time to awaken and move toward the dawning light. The bear card represents an individual on the cusp of new directions and personal transformation. Yeah, really resonating with all of the cards here. The initial weeks and months of the spiritual quest may feel tricky, cumbersome, and full of obstacles. But you have no choice, bear. Winter wanes, the warmth of spring emerges, and the journey of your transformation begins. And for anyone that lives in a part of the world like me, it is spring. So this really is very powerful. And I'm going to put this healing stone, lineage stone, very special, sacred, connected to a line of healers on this bear to really infuse this message with that energy for all of you. Right? Because this is all about energy on many levels. Energy and story. Story for the mind, energy for the soul. So when in balance, the bear is filled with inner strength and yearning to grow. And when out of balance, withdrawal, lethargy, heaviness. To bring into balance movement and exercise. And I'm going to be going on a walk. I've been going on multiple walks a day to get grounded in my body. And this might be a message for whatever, is best for you at this time, to start moving in ways that are authentic to you. To start, perhaps shifting that relationship. There are ways to be out of balance by moving too much or too little. But the bear is going to move thoughtfully. And so here we go. The fear of failure, right? Here's the rabbit, afraid of everything, overwhelmed and frozen. The rabbit loves to remind his friends that someday the eagle will swoop down and eat him. He talks and talks and talks about it, so loudly in fact that one day the eagle hears and thanks him for the great idea. Rabbit energy is alive when we are scared, most often about the future, and we become our own worst enemy. We spin up a dust cloud of fear and then complain to others that we are lost. Notice your thoughts and words, O rabbit. They shape your destiny. So this is a real message to start to pay attention to your self-talk. When in balance, sensitive, problem solver, good listener. When out of balance, over-explains, talks fast. To bring into balance, a day of silence. So this is the message, my friends. It is not failure, it's an opportunity. You are here as a part of this world to grow and to evolve into who you are meant to be. This is a time of great growth and shift on this planet. So whatever might be happening within you, without you, know it is all opportunity. It is all a chance for you to start to grow into that master that fulfills their own obligations and corrects their mistakes. There's no need to be afraid because there is always an opportunity to continue to correct. There's no need to mask who you are with humor because there is always a heart that will listen, even if it is your own, even if it is that of the universe. And you are safe to emerge now. Your journey begins, my friend. If this message was helpful to you, hit the like button, subscribe. I'd be very lovely to hear from any of you that would, like, what is your journey? What are your fears? How are you doing? What is your journey? And with that, thank you for your time and presence. It's precious. Until next time.